Q alerts, and I think it'll blow people's mind. It's a blueprint for what's going to happen the next 4 weeks.
Now, we've been close to crises before, and I agree there's a lot of stuff lined up, a lot of sources. Police are being told big stuff's going to happen. But, you know, there's been evidence of things going to happen in the past that didn't happen. And I believe talking about this does help reduce the fact that it, you know, could take place. I mean, I think a false flag, a financial collapse, that is probable, unless we get the word out. I mean, my goodness. I mean, how would it work? A false flag goes off. They say domestic groups did it. Oh, don't worry, the foreign troops are going to help. I mean, I know that's in all the declassified admissions now. Since NLE 09, they've admitted it. I've talked to Army officers on air where they're trained to work with foreign troops. I've been to urban warfare drills where they train with troops from 6 nations to take on the West Coast and confiscate guns and put us in camps. It's in my film, Police Day 2000, free online. So, yes, I mean, I know it, but still, I just don't. People are so mind-controlled, though. They might tell, you know, the general public that if you're not for the foreign occupation, you're a terrorist, and your neighbors might rat you out.
Oh, of course. Neighbors are ratting out each other right now. Look at Jason, the first guy that was arrested because somebody heard him on talk radio. Jason was a talk show host. I think you carried this story.
No, we've had him on the show. Yeah, a popular show. He came and got arrested. Yeah. We have the Rob fella, Brandon Robb.
Yeah, and then the other guy, there's another guy named Don M. He's the one I posted that I think you linked to. The bottom line is here's what I want to share with you, Alex Jones. Okay, and this is a good word. You are so on the tip of the spear, but remember this: like an icebreaker, it's the bow of the ship that has to break the ice so the others can follow. But again, the hardest thing, and Alex, I got to admit, this is the hardest thing for me too. So I'm just saying, someone who does what you do. This is the hardest thing for me, to understand that the very military that have taken the oath to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign, domestic, are now, the ones that are left are now in collusion with the invading armies that are here. And by the way, I said 4 weeks, the prophecy that's on my website, Amazing Prophetic Word of the Lord from Brother Marcus. The bottom line is this guy's got something that's real. It's not the typical flaky stuff, and there's so much stuff on the internet. But what's amazing to me is it lays out the next 3 months. I said 4 weeks, 3 months. It also deals with the next 4 weeks. And I would encourage everybody to go to that.
Well, I think God is moving everybody who has discernment that we're at a key point here and that we're all in great danger because of the financial situation, the Iran situation, the funding of al-Qaeda, the 10,000 Libyan missiles they got, and then the government arming against us and demonizing us. I just find it hard to believe that they're going to actually pull the trigger.
Well, I know you did, but again, can I be blunt? There was a lot of stuff. For instance, Genetic Armageddon, you brought it up, and I know we're coming out on that. When I wrote Genetic Armageddon about the transhumanists and the desire for them to totally destroy the image and likeness of the living God as we were created, and I started talking about, obviously, super soldiers. Everybody's, you know, the boards were filled. Ha ha, what a joke, what a crazy guy. You know, the bottom line is...
Now it's all admitted. It's all been... You know.
It's all admitted. So what I'm trying to tell you is this, is that when Greg and I did the show last night with Doug Hagman, and as I'm doing the show with you and you had on Doug the hour before I came on, the bottom line is the tension and the panic in law enforcement, in the intelligence community, and guys going out into fields, not me. I don't meet anybody, any place, anytime. That's just my own security protocol. I violated it once and it almost cost me my life. The bottom line is that given the fact of everything, the preponderance of evidence, Alex, it's not only the scales that have to come off a man's eyes, it's the scales that have to come off our heart. These are the issues. We're trying to resolve probably the most confrontational, dangerous period in history with the emotional base that we have that, quite candidly, isn't prepared for the shock. This is going to be shock and awe, and I told everybody, you heard me say it on your show years ago, everything that's going on in the Middle East is designed to train. They're going to use those tactics against us.
Well, that's all admitted. I just don't see them phase one in a collapse, bringing in the foreign troops. From what I've studied, they would bring in the collapse, then stage false flags, blame it on domestic groups, let the police and military be chewed up in a fight with the people, then they bring in the I-4 NATO forces, and that's on record. No matter how crazy it sounds, that is the plan. We'll be back. A little over again. Listen, folks, we can disagree about timelines. It's mainstream news. They train with troops from 15 nations to take on domestic terrorists who they say are our veterans and gun owners. That's high treason. It is public that they're arming with all these weapons against us. It's public they're setting up face scanning. So I'm hearing Steve Quayle, and he's talking about all this evidence and stuff. He's been talking about it forever, and then I'm hoping he's wrong. I think we can disagree on timelines, but definitely stuff's getting weird. And I hope that he's wrong. I hope that none of this unfolds. But I know he wouldn't be out here saying all this if he in his heart didn't think things were being green-lighted for this. I just know I talked to a billionaire lady off record, owns a defense contractor company. 4 years ago, I've told you this story, and she said, I'm moving to the Cook Islands. And I said, why? Because of collapse. She said, the United States won't be here. And I just happened to run into her in a lawyer's office. I was there filing some stuff at the big law firm in town. She's got like 50 lawyers, and she was a listener. And then I went and checked who she was after, and it was like, wow, that really is who she said. I was like, why'd you tell me that? I wish I would have asked more, though. This is crazy. This is like before World War I or World War II. Everything's lining up for that. So I don't know what's going to happen in the details, but Steve, I hope you're wrong. But you've got, Hagmann sources. I've got police calling and crying. Later confirmed with other high-level police. They're told all, what's going to break loose. I mean, what are your sources saying? How will this start if indeed they pull the trigger?
Alex, they all say it started or you wouldn't have seen it implemented. But when it really gets bad is on the financial collapse. I got to spell it out to you. Imagine everybody in the United States not being able to access their bank accounts, access their credit cards, access their ATM machines. Imagine the trucks stopping. Imagine the people who are used to government subsidies being stopped. And it's going to be across the board. This is going to be affecting everyone. And then imagine that the gangs and you and I talked about this 10 years ago, the gangs that have been given the guns, and oh, by the way, I was a crazy when I was talking about all the Chinese arms being shipped into the gangs on the West Coast.
You said it before. It was even in the LA Times, and I know, I wish I could think that you were crazy. You said that the government was arming gangs nationwide, and now that's admitted.
Right. So the point is that here's the thing. The interesting issue that everybody's got to come to grips with and really has to come to grips with is, look, I don't know the timing, and I will agree with you on one thing. In the world of special operations, when an operation is made known, everybody cuts contact with that operation. But the bottom line is that we have the U.S. complicit, and I'm talking about the military establishment right now, with the implementation of martial law, the roundups, the assassinations, everything else. But what they are not getting, look, I was the source, and I think this is what you've got to do and I've got to do. If I've been right, and if my sources have been unfailing, and the ultimate source has been God calling me to be a watchman and proclaiming, because God says his people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and I don't care what a person's position is, they can't argue. Look, 15 years ago, I was telling people this stuff is happening. Now a lot of people are writing books on it and everything. I don't care about that, but what I'm saying is, if it's taken people 15 years to get where I was 15 years ago, I'm trying to tell people what comes next. But the total financial collapse coordinated with an attack on Washington, D.C. and several other major cities, the potential for an EMP attack.
Okay, well, I want to hear the chain of events. Stay there. Let's do 5 more minutes so you can finish up with Steve Quayle, Infowars.com, SteveQuayle.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, 29th day of August 2012, and we got foreign troops crawling all over us, government buying billions of rounds of ammo, giant black tanks, armored vehicles. They're on the news saying, look out, the gun owners and veterans are terrorists. They're the enemy. They're going to attack any minute. I mean, it's just total bizarreness. We've got judges out in places, in Texas saying they're going to fight the New World Order. I mean, it's entering just crazy land. I wish it wasn't all happening. We've got all these different sources saying get ready for all Hades to break loose in September. We got about 5 minutes left. Steve, lay out from your sources how this would unfold. Cyber attack, things go down, riots, and then what, we beg for the troops? I mean, what happens?
Well, they want it. They want a 2 to 4 week period where everybody turns loose on everybody. By the way, Alex, concurrent with this, the internet goes down, all communications go dead, except the military communications and their high rack and all their new trunk system. And by the way, they know every single police officer, his allegiance, his alliance, and his stuff. So let's say a police force has 100 officers, and 5 of them are considered they're not team players. In other words, they won't go along with the New World Order. The 5 will be locked out of the trunk communication system. Everything's digital. 95 people get the order. The 5 guys will be set up for the other 95. The blue list goes into effect. That's when the foreign troops have their pre-assigned targets to assassinate. By the way, let me tell you something. When I started talking about GPSing the front doors for Hellfire missiles, a former helicopter gunship pilot called me and he said, Steve, he said, we have sealed orders and we have all our targets assigned to us in the areas that will be dispatched from. So understand, Alex.
Well, pilots have complained that they've been ordered to go around and practice attacking U.S. cities, not just for foreign targeting. They're practicing for U.S. cities.
Well, our U.S. individuals, and I mean, you said the other day, I think, when we were on your TV show that you had, you saw a drone over you. And the point is, here's what I'm trying to get across to everybody, okay? If what's obvious, now look, what's obvious, everybody's hoping, and this is where hope is good, but misplaced hope was maddening. What will make a difference? Here's what will make a difference. If every man, woman, and fighting person in the military and in the police departments understands, that's why I spend the time I do, that's why you spend. And
you're already on a list if you're a patriot, they already know. Yep. So speak out now and pray and let everybody know that there is a takeover happening, because no one can deny the takeover's here. The question is, how severe is it?
Well, can I tell you something? It's terminally severe. You, Alex Jones, cannot interview Graithwall from the Weather Underground days and then see all of those same people now coming into play, the mentors of the current administration and all of Obama's hierarchy. You cannot have a nation of law. Listen, the man of perdition, the Bible talks about, is lawlessness. And lawlessness is defined as each man doing that's what's right in his own sight. And now you've got people saying that, look, the Constitution's irrelevant, the Bill of Rights is irrelevant, and to the degree that our founding fathers said it's designed for a moral people and the people lose their morality, that's why the effective communist protocols and globalist mind speak and mind control. By the way, concurrent with all this going down, getting back to your question, that's when they turn on the Gwen towers, okay? The electromagnetic, if you will, numbing and dumbing down the mind control towers.
So that's well, they admitted in the major paper, it was the Baltimore Sun, 12 years ago, they bragged the CIA and DARPA had set up with the tower systems that can manipulate our minds and calm us. That was in the newspaper.
Absolutely. Under 4 hertz, you go to sleep. Over 6 hertz, you go agitated. And that's where, and please, everybody, this is not a pitch, but you've got to read my zombie series on my website. This is, Alex, when they articulate, when they integrate the radio frequency, when they turn on the power to basically energize a lot of the stuff that's been put into the chemtrail spraying. I mean, they're not only talking about zombie protocols, they're talking about generating the zombie apocalypse.
And by that, you're talking about a bunch of people out of their minds running around crazy.
Yes.
They can do that spraying PCP on people, too. Amazing. Steve Quayle, we got to talk more as this unfolds. His website, stevequayle.com. I'm Alex Jones of Infowars.com. Retransmit.